Hello, troopers. Army building is a central tenet to Lego Star Wars, as it were. It's one of a common thread. It's not the only thread, but it is a big thing that unites much of the community. Many people within the community do or are building armies or have built armies. It has built some YouTube channels. Some people's best videos are their army showcases. And even though the popularity might be going down a little bit, still many people now and in the future are going to be looking to army building, which, if you guys are interested, I did do a video on the history of Lego Star Wars army building. I'll post that at the end if you are interested. However, is there any specific way you should army build, like financially wise or building wise? Is there any tips and tricks? Well, today that's what I'm going to look at today. I did a video about this kind of last year, but thought of a few more and just wanted to do a little bit of an updated refresh to the video, and we'll hop in. I think I have about 7 or 8 tips and tricks for army building. So the first off that you need to start with is determine what army you want to build. Have a specific goal and aim at it, whether it's a specific number of troopers, whether you want to build a platoon of those troopers, a company, etc. Along those lines, have a specific number and faction that you want to build, whether that's, for instance, I'll take mine Imperial faction. Right now I have just what I'm aiming at. I'm not aiming at a whole lot because I already reached my first goal many years ago, which was a full platoon of Imperial Stormtroopers plus about 5 supporting units. Now that doesn't really fit into squads, so I'm probably going to update that, and I'm probably going to grow my Stormtrooper platoons in the future, but there's a little bit more pressing units that are going to be a bit more expensive than I'm concentrating on now, and I'll come back to the Empire. So that's just an example of what I'm doing. My droid army, I'm trying to build a full B1 platoon, or B1 company, which is a lot of battle droids. Thankfully, they're pretty cheap, but that's a lot of battle droids as a full company. And then various other supporting units again. So I have a specific number and purpose behind why I'm doing it and aiming at it. Because if you don't aim at it, you're going to walk aimlessly and you're probably never really going to get to where you want to go or know what you want to build. So you're just going to have a random collection of figures within your army, which isn't bad, but it is better to perhaps have a purpose behind it, and it'll give it greater joy if you have purpose behind it. Second off, how to find those figures. Some tips on that. Obviously, some online places. We'll start with the online places first. You have Bricklink and eBay, as always, but those are usually kind of the standard of prices. Yes, sometimes you can find a deal, especially on eBay, not harder these days than it was in the past, but those are usually kind of the medium of what figures cost. So again, these are supposed to be tips and tricks of hopefully building an army on a budget, hopefully being able to save some money and build it faster. So just going the medium route can be beneficial at times, especially if you need figures for something specific, but overall trying to build it to the most financially beneficial way might not be the best way. So some areas that you can try and find some deals, at least online. Whatnot is great if you want to find some deals. It just depends. Sometimes it's harder to, but there is a lot better chance of finding a nice deal on some figures on Whatnot than perhaps on Bricklink and eBay at times. I will be having an upcoming stream, hopefully later in January, if I can get another lot of minifigures in by that time. And hopefully I usually have some really good deals, especially for some army builders. So if you're interested in, I should hopefully be having at least some Imperials, some battle droids and clones. Hopefully I'll have at least a few rebels too. So if you're building any of those armies and Mandalorians, I'll have some Mandalorians. So any of those 5 armies, check out my upcoming stream, and it should be in a couple weeks. Don't have it up yet, so when it does, I'll let you guys know so you can bookmark it. But if you haven't, follow me on Whatnot. If you haven't downloaded Whatnot, do download Whatnot. It's a nice way. I'll have my link down below. I believe you get a $15 credit, so that's already 1 or 2 figures for your army just for signing up using the link. So do check it out if you have not signed up for Whatnot. Also, I would also encourage you, if you've made it this far in the video and are enjoying so far the channel, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Roughly like 85% of my viewers are not subscribed, so please, if you are new to the channel and enjoying, please leave a like and, more importantly, subscribe. Now, shameless plugging over. The next place to find some good deals, Facebook Marketplace. Again, not what it used to be, but still you can find some good deals. Got to be far more careful. Definitely, though, as a hesitation with things, make sure it's they do PayPal goods and services. Unless they're in your town, they're willing to do a meetup and you can check out the figures. If they're willing to do shipping, definitely only do PayPal goods and services. Or I think Venmo has the same thing, but I only do PayPal goods and services. It just protects you. I have had and a little slight thing. Yes, it's always amazing to find a good deal, but if the deal is good, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. So be very careful with that. If they're going to be shipping to you, definitely do PayPal Goods and Services. But you can find some good deals there. Another less known one, but I think it's more popular now. Now a lot of people know about it, but maybe it's gone down a little bit. ShopGoodwill.com. Goodwills will put little minifigure lots and stuff and certain minifigures on there. So sometimes you can find a deal, not always, but sometimes you can get a deal. Now what goes into my next thing is if you're willing to work at building your army, buy lots or big minifigure lots, especially on Facebook Marketplace and Shop Goodwill. If you're willing to buy bigger lots and have the finances to do it, and resell the figures yourself, whether on Facebook, whether you doing on Facebook, whether on eBay, whether on Whatnot, or having a Whatnot person selling it on commission, which if anyone is interested in that, let me know. We can work out a deal on that. I would be willing to do that. I will sell them on commission, but that's, again, sorry, last shameless plug over, I promise. Anywho, so if you're willing to work a little bit at building your army, you might be able to buy a big lot, resell figures, and even make money building your army. So definitely be considerate of that. Yes, it'll take more time and more finances up front, but in the long run, if you are able to do it and you're willing to take the time and a little bit more money in the short term, long term, you could potentially build your army for free or even make money building your army, which is pretty sweet. The next one, ask friends who might be in the hobby whether you have something that you don't really care for that you could trade for troops, or if they're getting out of the hobby, see if they'd give you a deal. Definitely always an option to do that. Some brick and mortar stores, check them out. Sometimes they have deals on figures. Yes, it's a lot less often, but I mean, last year I went to a bricks and minifigure a few hours away from me. Wasn't expecting it. They were having like 30% off figures. So if there's one in your area and they have like an Instagram page, definitely follow your brick and mortar secondhand Lego stores to see. They'll often post when they're having sales and deals, so follow that. You might be able to get a nice deal on the figures. And oftentimes, again, you got to be careful. Most of them, at least the ones I've been to, they've been pretty fair on their prices. Some of them are not so fair. I know, like, and not to bash on bricks and minifigures, but it can be pretty hit or miss. I think it's up to the individual store owners. Some of them are very reasonable. Some of them are not. So do be careful of that. You know, they might have 30% off figures, but they might be 100% over market value, and you're not really saving any money. So just be mindful of that. Know what your troopers that you're looking to purchase are valued at, and try and work with that. And then the last couple things. First off, build an army you enjoy. I understand there's certain people in the community that think armies should be based off platoons and companies. I understand that. That's what I am aiming at. And that is fine to want to hold to that standard. But let people build what they want to build. Build an army you enjoy, and let other people build an army they enjoy. Whether they follow platoons or they just have a collection of figures, let them do that. Doesn't make them wrong. Doesn't make you wrong. It just makes both of you different, and that's okay. You guys can have your opinions, and you can share that kindly and respectfully. And lastly, budget for your army. I highly encourage you can, but I would highly encourage you not to spend more money on army building than you can afford. I totally understand it can be very slow and frustrating to build an army on a budget. Trust me. Next week, a little example of that. I was hoping to finish. I finally finished, thankfully, my 187th platoon. Very excited about that. Going to be doing a video on that next week. I was hoping to finish that platoon in 2022. It's 2020, or no, excuse me. I was hoping to finish that platoon by the end of 2023 when the set retired. It's 2025, beginning of 2025, and I finally finished platoon. So it's a little bit delayed, but I stayed within my budget. I stayed within my means, and it makes it more amazing. And it feels better. You get a little bit more joy, and it feels better when you build your army within the limitations that you have at the time. It's okay. You're not going to have the same limitations in the future. Don't go into debt to build your army. That would not be a wise decision. It'll have temporary joy that will bring other frustrations in other areas of life that I do not recommend. And to quote a certain Dave, live like no one else now, so someday you can live like no one else. So what does that mean? Right now, you might not be able to build the biggest army, but someday maybe you can have truly the largest grand army of the Republic. Let me know down below what army you guys are building and any tips that I have missed that you might think of and that you can share with the community. As always, take care, and I will catch you guys next time.